I'm Darren Dickey, I'm a head gardener at Trebah. I've actually been at Trebah now for 31 years, since 2002 as head gardener. So I'm basically there to work alongside the garden team, giving them guidance in some of the development and also working alongside our garden committee on some of the bigger areas of development. Trebah is a very special place to be because, as I mentioned, I've been at the gardens for a very long time. So I've kind of grown up in the garden and been lucky enough to be inspired by some great head gardeners who I've worked under in that time. Trebah is more about the evolution and development of the garden and to be able to help to educate people in the uses of plants and the benefits of plants in the environment. We're always looking at new areas to improve and develop, bringing in new plants as they're introduced. So it's all about that sort of mix of plants and nature which makes Trebah so special. Trebah is actually along the Helford estuary, so we're very close to the sea. We have the benefit of the milder weather here through the sort of Gulf Stream, warming the waters. So we're just sort of about 4 miles away from Falmouth in Cornwall. Well, we've got a garden team of 4, including myself, but we do also have some very good volunteers. So obviously manpower is a big element, but machinery these days obviously has helped to improve that and reduce the need for so many staff. We also benefit at the moment with having 2 days where we're closed to the public, so it just means we can do a bit more. So it is all about putting those resources to good use at different times of the year when all the different sort of areas come into their own. So spring, early summer, there's a lot of tidying up and keeping on top of those areas, those more formal areas. And then in the winter it's more about development work, so we can get in clear areas and then replant in the spring. I think one of the unique features of Trebah is that we are a valley garden, but that's not the unique feature. It's more about the fact that we're so close to the sea and we also have our own private beach. So you can literally walk through the garden, enjoy the flowers, and then you get to the beach and you have that wonderful view out of the mouth of the Helford estuary. So it's the climate which enables us to grow some very exotic and unusual plants. So we're one of the warmest gardens that you'll have in the UK, bar going over to Tresco. So it's really the climate. With a garden of this nature, because we're open to the public and we rely on entrance monies and money generated through the sort of retail areas, one of the sort of things that's always sort of foremost in your mind is whether there will be the visitors to come to the garden and obviously the paid element. So income is obviously a big concern for any establishment, and there are sort of good years, bad years, and obviously have recessions. So these things are obviously foremost in our mind. But obviously there are other elements and the environments and the way our climate is changing is probably the biggest issue that we foresee going forward. So it will be how our sort of climate changes, whether we have more storms coming through, rainfall, not having enough rainfall. So when we have periods of drought and dry weather, that's the biggest and toughest one for us because some of the plants do really struggle in dry conditions. Well, the gardens, as I mentioned earlier, the garden originally was a wooded valley and the house was built by the Nichols family in the 1700s. But it wasn't until Charles Fox and his wife Sarah purchased Trebah in 1838 that they actually started to add to the collection. So they put in a lot of conifers, they created the shelter belt planting around the garden. And then by around about 1860, then moved in, built a new house off to the side of the old Nichols house, which sadly burnt down in 1949. And then it was really that sort of Victorian era where it was the done thing to do to plant up these Victorian idyls. So they started to collect these plants from all over the world, perfectly placed with Falmouth docks. They're also the family were ship agents, so they managed the shipping in and out of Falmouth. And they had great connections with some of the nurseries and some of the great plant collectors. And that's how a lot of the plants came to being in Trebah, and obviously money through the Cornish tin mines. Charles was the manager of Perham Foundry, so they had great connections with what was at the time one of the most sort of money generating areas in the country, one of the sort of richest areas in the country because obviously of the tin mines.